We'll start off with the Mangalacharan prayers. We are a few minutes already into the time, our timing. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamlam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatantitam Tam Saji Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya De Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanta He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhaṁ karoti vācālam paṅgum laṅkayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishram Namo Saraswati Hare Krishna Prabhu's Mataji. Thank you for joining the extended session, if I have to say. We were supposed to cover all this in yesterday's session, but I knew the topic is pretty deep, and and also the various questions, they are left unanswered. It would not make really sense in that for us to have had this kind of discussion. It really helped me also a lot, because based on the questions, everyone learns, right? So yesterday we saw why we should study Bhagavatam. It's only it's like a tip of the iceberg that which we saw. Actually, there is a lot more into it, practically speaking. And having said that, we will keep that as a concise message and move on to our next section of this discussion, which is how to study. As we said yesterday, as we discussed yesterday, there are two parts to this how to study. One is the mood, the mood with which we have to approach Srimad Bhagavatam, or in other words, what are the secrets of study in terms of our own qualification, how to build our own qualification. And the second is the methods. Like there are various different methods. Very simple, it's not very complicated to understand them. It happens to be, it happens to come on its own when we start reading. Krishna inspires us with the various different techniques which we follow. So we will try to cover in a concise way these two. As I said yesterday in the seminar of Adhyatma Deepam, these are covered in much more detail. But I don't think we have the luxury of time as far as this particular session is concerned. And considering the fact that yesterday Bhaktivedanta Prabhu and Anandram Prabhu were all inquiring about further details of the Adhyatma Deepam seminar, I assume that sometime in the near future, or whenever that is Krishna arranges, we may have a more detailed session covering all the aspects of the basically about the Bhagavad. So I will cover this rest of the things in concise way. Let me take the share screen to begin with. Just that. So first we will cover the mood. Mood which we need to have, the bhava which we need to have. Give me 1 second. Okay, I hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes,
So how
Prabhuji.
to approach Srimad Bhagavatam? Now, this is something which I learned, which my spiritual master, Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami, taught me, and I also gathered some from corresponding Srila Prabhupada. So I thought I will just share some of these tips in terms of the setting the mood, preparing ourselves to receive Srimad Bhagavatam. The first and foremost thing is that we should understand and be convinced why we are studying Bhagavatam, right? That we saw yesterday, and that once we said that thing, this is very much nicely elaborated in the shloka Bhagavatam 10:31-9. I hope it opens up. You are able to see the screen where the thing opened up. Maybe I didn't share this.
Yes, Prabhu, it's open.
Is it 10:31-9 you're able to see?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu, it's the presentation.
Okay, this means I have to share that also. Are you able to see this now?
Yes, Prabhu.
10:31-9. But then you are not able to see the presentation, right?
Now we can see the presentation.
Okay, nice. It's fine. So this shloka, Tava Katamrutam Tapta Jivanam, this is the best verse to understand why we are reading Bhagavatam and setting the mood from there on. The gopis pray to Krishna that the glorification, the words that glorifies you, or the nectar of the words that is glorifying you, is the life for those who are aggrieved, those who are distressed in this material world. Kavi Biridita means that the great thinkers, the great poets, they all describe. And then Kalmasha Apaham, it drives away all the simple reactions. Not only that, what it does is Shavana Mangalam. It gives the auspiciousness. It brings the auspiciousness whenever in our life, whenever we hear. And it is filled with spiritual power, Srimad Bhagavatam. And those who are distributing this transcendental nectar, the Shabda Rupa form of the Lord, they are the most beneficent. And this is the verse that really attracted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we can recall that incident of Prataparudra, right? So it explains very nicely. And from this, we can derive some interesting points which sets the mood for our Bhagavatam study, right? The first thing we have to understand is that when it is having all these transcendental qualifications like auspiciousness, giving auspiciousness, destroying all the sinful reactions, and then destroying all the effects of Kali, and if it can think it's not, so it results in this one point that it is not a material exercise. Why it is not a material exercise? Because by the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different from Krishna, we are being directly connected to the Supreme Lord. We are getting the direct touch. Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham. Adyatam Sukham Ashnute. Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, right? So when we get the Brahma Samsparsha, the touch of Krishna, imagine like when we get the electric shock, we get the effect, isn't it? So the same way, when we are touched by the transcendence, right? That transcendence makes us also transcendental. Just like the electric shock makes us also a conductor of electricity, the current, right? So the same way, this is such a powerful medium through which we are able to approach the Lord. So we need to have that specific mood. So how do we approach Bhagavatam? Just like when you go into the DT, when we go into the Garbhagraha, the inside the temple, the innermost sanctum sanctorum, how humbly and with the respect we approach. The same way, Bhagavatam has to be approached because it is not different from Krishna. So it has to be approached with simplicity, sincerity, humility, eagerness, and gratitude. If we have these five qualities in our bhava, then we have the right mood to approach Srimad Bhagavatam. Why so? Why we have to have these qualities? Because we are given the opportunity to touch Krishna himself, who is revealing himself first in the form of the book Bhagavatam. It is not like some book that is lying in the shelf anytime I can pick up and read it when it is true, of course. But then Bhagavatam is not so cheap that you just anytime I can open and read. While it is presenting himself as Krishna is presenting himself as so in such an easily accessible way, we should not be disrespectful. So imagine we are actually given an opportunity to touch Krishna, even though we are not qualified for. Right? So this is the thing that will give us the simplicity, sincerity, humility, eagerness, and gratitude. It should be simple. In our heart, we should not have so many things like, oh, with Bhagavatam, I can teach this person, I will become famous, I can get whatever Lakshmi I want, I will be a professional thing. That should not be there at all. It should be simple, or we should not say that, hey, this person is not doing devotional service properly. Let me use Bhagavatam to teach him how it should be done. That kind of a one-upmanship attitude. If I'm not able to convey something to him or her, some the other person, I will say, okay, let me convey it to them through the Bhagavatam so that they will not deny my. But these are all mentalities which are in the three modes. So we should try to come out of it, even if not fully, at least to some extent. We should not be bothered that, hey, all these qualities are required for me to approach Bhagavatam. Even at least in little quantities, if we have, that is also an initial investment from our end to for Krishna to give himself first. And sincerity, we should be sincere. We should not be just simply whiling away our time. Whatever time we have, we should focus fully on Bhagavatam. As I said yesterday also, that have a quiet corner in your home where you and Bhagavatam should be the only persons there, and we should not let anything else come in between you and Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, right? So that is the thing. And then eagerness, we should be waiting to go, when am I going to go home and start reading Bhagavatam? That kind of an eagerness, if we have, then it's easy. Even if you don't have, as you keep reading Bhagavatam, you will automatically get it. And finally, the gratitude, as we don't qualify ourselves to touch Krishna, but we are given the opportunity to touch Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam. So when these five qualities are there, then what is the effect? The effect is devotional service. And without these ingredients, bhakti is impossible. And always it will be mixed with contaminated material fruitive intentions. You always see that. Why we are not able to get the taste for studying Bhagavatam more and more? Because in a subtle way, a completely subtle way, all these distractive things like anarthas, which are like deep-rooted anarthas, they somehow or other creep in our. So that's why we have to have these five qualities somehow or other, five qualities in our hearts while we are approaching Bhagavatam. None of the thing have scholarliness or philosophiness or all those things. That's very important. So then what happens when we are having these qualities? Then comes the next step. How to do it? If we all want Bhagavatam to bring bliss to our life, bring change to our life, transformation in our life, etc. But it is possible only if we practice what we study. Without practicing, it is completely of no use. But to practice whatever we are studying, we should seriously contemplate on the points that we have heard or studied from Srila Prabhupada's books. And we may be studying for 15-20 minutes or half an hour. At that time, we may be having some points to think over. But after that, if you forget about it totally and move on to all the rest of the things, then it may not have its impact. Once one of the devotees asked my Guru Maharaj, what is the difference between advanced devotee and struggling devotee, Maharaj? We all want to be advanced devotees, but we are struggling in our sadhana. We are struggling in our devotional life. Some of us have understood that we are struggling. Some of us are still not understood, even though we are struggling. Those are the only two states we are in. So how do we move from a struggling devotee to advanced devotee? It seems like a far-fetched next stop go there. So Maharaj answered very nicely. He said, actually it is only a 5 minutes. It's only a matter of 5 minutes. Move from struggling devotee to advanced devotee. Devotee was quite surprised. How is it that I can move from struggling devotee to an advanced devotee in such a short time. Maharaj said very simply that a Bhagavatam class or Bhagavatam study is going on, and you found some point, and then this class is over. You move on to say next this thing is after the class is over. You move on to prasadam prayers immediately. Then that is your starting devotee. But instead, after the class is over, you note down the points and you go and ask the speaker or the other devotees. I have some doubts. Can you please clear this part? That is an advancing view. So it's just a simple matter of 5 minutes. If I can spend some time going through my notes and trying to understand a bit more, that eagerness that I'm showing, that is all will help. Krishna will help when he sees that sincerity. So that is where the contemplation comes in. And this contemplation, at the time we are hearing, but during the when we are going by car, taxi, or we are going doing some other stuff, etc. In breaks, we can always keep contemplating. In breaks, in different intervals of breaks that we have, you contemplate on okay, that point today it said how can I apply it? Like that is vicharana, right? It should go on throughout the day, but your prescribed duties must not get disturbed. Most of the time we say that, oh, I have so much duties to perform, I'm not able to study Bhagavad. No. You can keep remembering that in between breaks, but continue to do your prescribed duties very immaculately. Bhagavatam contemplation will never disturb our duty if we are doing our duties sincerely. You know why? Because Bhagavatam, when I'm hearing something about Bhagavatam, say how Arjuna was fighting, or how Vidura was doing his duty, or Prahlad Maharaj how he was doing duty, etc., etc. Enhance the quality of our duty, because we get the knowledge that all the duty is supposed to be Sansiddhir Haritoshanam, for Krishna's satisfaction. So I will be more careful. Oh, Bhagavatam, I studied today. Let me do my job properly. In between the thoughts will come, but then I will do for a satisfaction. This is the most important point we should understand, that Bhagavatam contemplation never disturbs our duty, rather it enhances the quality of it, provided we are doing it sincerely. We are doing it our duty, we do it immaculately, then it will enhance the quality of our duty. Many times you will see that some problem that takes ages to, days or months to solve, by our meditation on Bhagavatam, or surrender to Bhagavatam, they get solved in minutes. It happens many times, So this is the next point which you should understand. And then from here where we go, when we approach Bhagavatam in that manner, this mood, then we ourselves will experience personal peace, satisfaction, and improvement in our character. A lot of things like, people who have short-tempered, anger, greed, whatever qualities they may have, that will all subside. Naturally, it will subside. And we will have some satisfaction in our life. We may not be very rich. We might have come with an ambition that we may have become rich, but we may not become rich. Or we may have famous, whatever. But there is a content, self-content will be there. That irrespective of whatever happens to the world, irrespective of whatever people call you, or curse you, or whatever, or make fun of us, you just be satisfied. That is a personal peace. Why? Because Bhagavatam is approached in the right way. This is the most important thing. How do we understand whether we have approached Bhagavatam with the right mood or not? When we feel personal peace, satisfaction, and self-improvement of our character. Our character will improve. And finally, then we will become humble and unflinching instruments in the hand of Krishna. We all want to preach Bhagavatam, but then many times we are not able to approach with the right mood, or we are not seeing the effect of approaching with that right mood. The approaching with the right mood is these 5 qualities. These are the 5 qualities that is the right mood to approach, and these are the personal peace, satisfaction, and self-improvement of our character, the effects of these 5 qualities approaching. Then we will become humble and unflinching instruments in the hand of Krishna, because once we do that, Krishna actually utilises us as his instruments. Because only satisfied people can be tools in the instruments in the hands of Krishna. Dissatisfied people cannot be an instrument in Krishna's hands. Prabhu's message. If we are dissatisfied in our own life, Krishna will not utilize us. He will say, "What? First of all, fix your life, then you can fix others' life. You are not peaceful yourself. What peace you are going to give to others?" That is why many times we are not able to be engaged in our activities in proper teaching. So that is why we have to, when we have these qualities, then we will say that Krishna, if you want, you can utilize me in your in some seva. I would like to be your instrument. And when we do that, then Krishna will arrange for the listeners to hear attentively, and our words will touch the hearts of the listeners, and they will be inspired to take sincere action, and their lives will also be changed. This is how the iron becomes magnetic. The touch of the magnet, the iron becomes a magnet, and then that iron will attract some more iron, and that also becomes magnet. Goes on like that. So this is the first point. The set of steps that we need to understand and appreciate in terms of how to approach Srimad Bhagavatam, the right mode. Any questions here before we move on?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, when we say that we need these 5 ingredients while approaching Bhagavatam, these need to be cultivated, right? I mean,
well, they are to be cultivated, yes, but don't you think they are there inherently in a minute quantity in us? If it is not there, we would not even come in touch with bhakti, first of all, correct? Or continuing in bhakti. It is there in various other sevas and other things, but we just have to bring them all into same thing. We have to apply to Srimad Bhagavatam. I may be eager for some other seva, but the same eagerness I should bring in here. Maybe if you don't have it, then an association with a person who is eager for this, already studying Prabhupada seriously, will help. So that is where association, Sangha helps very much.
Thank you very much.
And we don't have to really lose our sleep over it, Prabhu, because the moment we take the first step, right, Krishna will take 100 steps towards us, right? That is why we leave everything in Krishna's hand. All we need is just that, the initial step that we want to take. And most of the time, what happens is, Prabhu, the reason the second point is brought up is because they still inherently don't see Bhagavatam as Krishna himself. And the moment we start appreciating the fact that, Krishna is the one who has come in the form of this literature, this in a book form, then we will be able to get these 5 qualities very easily. Like nobody has to tell us to be sincere and humble when we approach the deity in the temple, right? The Lord in the temple, right? You go to say big famous temples like Nadwar or Tirupati or Vrindavan. When we go there itself, we start getting that mood to approach in a humble way, and there is some eagerness in us, and there is a gratitude when we see the Lord. Oh Krishna, thank you for bringing me here, thousands of miles to just take your darshan.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Nice question, Prabhu. Thank you for that. Any other questions? So shall we move on?
Sure, Prabhuji.
So, go to the this is another important thing to set the mood, the right mood. The secret of study, which also very subtle points that Maharaj told us. Because we are all serious students, I'm sharing this with you all, because you have been reading for a while. See, Maharaj told us many times that you must learn to renounce your pride when you study Bhagavatam. May not be completely, but at least to some extent. Because what happens is, this pride is a very subtle thing. It can come anytime like a weed. When you're planting this seed of bhakti, that is Bhagavatam in your heart, the weed can always appear, pride. And how do we identify that? When we start thinking that, hey, I am studying Bhagavatam, others respect me. Oh, in my class or study, I will just say somebody is here, somebody is there. Then I will say, no, you people have to be. I'm becoming tough with people. We have the controlling propensity basically. We dictate everybody around us. We should not make noise. We should not do this. Sometimes, yes, we have to be. We have to tell people when they are very insensitive, but it is only to the extent that it should not disturb the audience, not that it is disturbing me. Because when we start, we tell in a humble way, even if you have to say. There are times we tend to become too. Pride always comes with arrogance, right? We become too aggressive in our approach. That doesn't really go well in our relationship with others. You see. So these are all the subtle things that the controlling propensity will start. Pride will start when enter into us in the form of controlling propensity. This Swami Krishna's son Shringi, how did the pride come in the form? It was in this controlling propensity to control the whole the flow of the incident. If he had not interfered, his father would have just simply threw off the dead snake, and Parikshit Maharaj would have gone back without any curse being spoken on him. Rather, he wanted to control the situation. He even says that Krishna is not here, so people are taking advantage of Krishna's absence. In other words, he was an atheist. He was telling Krishna is not here when Krishna is right there. Krishna is everywhere, all the time, in all times, Hari Sarvatra Sarvada. But because he wanted to control the incident, he presumed as if Krishna is not there, or professed that Krishna is not there, and he exhibited his controlling propensity by uttering that curse. Turned the whole, it really disturbed the entire the topography of the things, how it is supposed to proceed further. So this we should always have this thing in mind when we study. This pride of study should not creep into our heart. That pride is very, very subtle. Krishna does not enter into the hearts when we are proud. This is the first thing. The next thing is, another thing that we do is, I am very much attracted to Bhagavatam, but chanting we can do later. That doesn't work. We should never ever neglect our daily sadhana, especially chanting the names. It's a beautiful point Maharaj told us. Remember, Bhagavatam knowledge looks like it can be studied, but actually the realization of the knowledge is revealed by Krishna only and not us. We are not getting this by mechanical means, by some gymnastics, mental gymnastics. That is why they are all called as revealed knowledge, costless knowledge. They're not something written by somebody, engineering, some engineering his mind and trying to create something out of nowhere. They were revealed to Srila Vyasadeva. All this knowledge is revealed by Krishna. That is why our Bhagavatam has, to the extent we are having the taste for the holy names, to that extent Krishna will supply the realizations for Srimad Bhagavatam. Both go hand in hand. So never ever neglect your sadhana. It's a very important way, points to approach the mood. And artificially, you cannot just try to squeeze some, we always have this thing to manufacture something, because we are told that unless and until you give some new points, nobody will appreciate your thing. And we always look at the appreciation that others are getting. When the others are getting appreciation, I should also get the appreciation. So how do I do it? I will find my own path. I will screw out some meaning out of it. Let me. This is very interesting, which I've always. We need to humbly pray to Guru and Krishna. After our sincere study, pray to them to reveal themselves to us. And he will definitely reciprocate. Krishna will definitely reciprocate and practice and distribute the knowledge of Bhagavatam also. He will give the opportunity. We don't have to really hanker for it, Krishna will give it. Our only job is to keep increasing our taste for the study again and again. Prabhupada did not go around. He was waiting for till 70 years before he could go. Right? It is not something which we have to do it very quick time. Otherwise, others will take advantage of the time, and I will not be relevant. These are like materialistic thoughts. Whatever Krishna has planned for us will come to pass at the right time that he plans. Because why? Because Krishna is time. Krishna is time. So he will do whenever he wants to do. Or not 1 second before, not 1 second later, and get it done. We have to have that full faith in Krishna that he will use me as an instrument. Until then, like yesterday we said, waiting time is preaching time. So we preach to our mind. Nobody is there. Prabhu, you are saying waiting time is preaching time, but nobody is there around. What who to preach to? Best person to preach to is your own mind. We see all the acharyas have written Srimana Shiksha, like that. We have so many acharyas have given given shastras about talking to the mind, right? So this is a very interesting thing. If you read through this, if somebody can read this, I'll be really happy.
Very true. Married Prabhuji?
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization.
So there is no better definition for realization than this. See how Prabhupada has covered all corners. He should have full faith in the acharyas. We should not, out of vanity, try to screw out our own meaning. And we must realize the subject matter so nicely. And we should be able to present the thing in a particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The same shloka, Prabhupada, how many different places he has utilized. And then this is the highlight of it. Right? He has even highlighted this point in italics. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. So what is the purpose? To give Krishna to others, to make everybody remember Krishna and become devoted to Krishna. Isn't it? And this is again, see, no obscure meaning. Obscure meaning is a very interesting word Prabhupada used. Obscure means covers, isn't it? It covers the original shape or cover or whatever. And we are screwing out some meaning which is not there at all. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. This is what Narad Muni says. And that is not needed. But you just present it in an interesting manner so that the audience can understand in a simple way. There are so many ways you can find out, like Tukaram, Narsimhata, Surdas, Ramdas. They all have put the essence of Bhagavatam in such a simple bhajans and all. If you see, there is no difference between their bhajans and Bhagavatams. That is how they became. Their songs and their bhajans became so popular, because they didn't screw out some obscure meaning. They did not cover the original meaning of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, but it enhanced or made it more revealing. You see, This is an important point we should understand in regard to the mood of approach. We should not be thinking that, oh, I will not become famous if I don't give something new. No, our idea is not to become famous. Our idea is to become a devotee. Our aim of Bhagavatam is not to make us famous. The aim of Bhagavatam is to make us devotee. And when we genuinely become devotees, then automatically we become famous without even asking for it. See? So that is how Prabhupada became famous, because he was a devotee. So let's go further. See, this is a very interesting thing. Study of Bhagavatam should naturally lead to genuine renunciation from name, fame, and glory. We always tend to think that, this can be there or whatever. But at the end of the day, there should be a genuine renunciation. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam chayata. Because Bhagavatam, any scriptural thing, you quote some sloka, you quote some purports or whatever, automatically people will glorify us. Our name and fame will increase, but we should not be hankering after this. Our aim of studying Bhagavatam should never be even the subtlest to form. It should not be to for name, fame, and glory. This is something which is happening quite frequently in our own society these days. People look at someone becoming famous and they want to follow their path, thinking that by following that path, I will also become famous. There is no bhakti there. We should be content with whatever Krishna has given us. Right? Our real fame is when Krishna looks upon it, not so many people just glorifying, making a big thing out of whatever it is. So finally comes the beautiful hammer thunderbolt. Many times we use Bhagavatam into, it's a very beautiful phrase, clarion call for our pride. Clarion call for our pride. You know that clarionet, how it is? Have you heard the clarionet playing? Alone, if you hear, it's really very cacophony, we say, no? It will be like that. It should mix with the other music and then it's all right. But if you hear someone playing the clarionet separately alone, sometimes it can be very disturbing. Not, of course, people who are expert, they can. But then the clarion, what it does is, when you have other instruments, it is heard the loudest. So what we do is, when we do Bhagavatam also, we put ourselves in front and Bhagavatam and Krishna is behind. Guru and Bhagavatam and Krishna goes behind. So it is only to show my pride or satisfy my hankering for pride. So the main mood with which you should approach Bhagavatam is for glorification of Krishna and purification of our heart. These are the only two things for which we are doing Bhagavatam. So when we glorify Krishna, whenever we study, then we will realize what we are studying. Otherwise, it's all simply just spiritual. It's a ritual, sorry. Does that help? Some of these points. The mood to approach Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have a question here.
Yes, Prabhu.
Point number 1, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhu, we are studying the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And it's like a regular study, verse by verse, purport by purport. And some of us are experienced in studying, some are not. Some are absolutely newcomers. So, and some of us have, actually many people in the group are also conducting their own reading groups of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So, Prabhu, sometimes what happens is, the present circumstances where, as you have mentioned, a lot of deviation has also come.
Right.
In sense that everyone wants to do a PhD, find something new. And what happens is, Prabhu, sometimes in the process, like especially I'm speaking for myself here, that I sometimes feel the need that there must be a discipline of study, that we should not, at least for this stage, we should not go beyond the limits laid down by Srila Prabhupada.
Right.
I mean, later on, I mean, commentaries of acaryas are all existing, but we don't really understand unless we see them through Prabhupada.
Exactly.
So sometimes, like, there have been times when our conversations tend to get a bit heated when someone is arguing in favor of going outside of Prabhupada's books. So, I mean, I personally sometimes feel very bad that maybe I'm just trying to control others a bit too much. And because, you know, because we have to establish a principle. So, I mean, I would like you to give us some general instruction on how to manage it, because sometimes I feel that in doing so, I may actually be becoming a very controlling person. Like,
Right.
you know, trying to dictate, because somewhere our contaminations are still there.
Right.
They haven't gone away. So maybe in trying to be a, you know, trying to establish a procedure, I might be just acting out of pride rather than any kind of goodwill for others.
Yeah. Fully understand where you're coming from, Prabhu. I mean, what is the point that you are saying? Yeah, that controlling propensity is there in all different ways. I'm glad that you took it in that other dimension also, where we control people which book they should study. We control people when they should study. Like yesterday also, I think. I mean, naturally we say that for say certain particular reason. There is nothing wrong actually. You know, without reading Bhagavad Gita, if you go to Bhagavatam, sometimes people can get misled, or they can become just like Rasikas or kind of a thing. They won't do much of they won't understand much of the depth of Bhagavatam. All those things are there. And same way, you are bringing out this very interesting and very important point that there are times, you know, I've seen devotees, you know, going to say other acharyas, commentaries, etc., in order to understand Prabhupada better. I very much remember His Holiness Radhavata Swami mentioned this very explicitly in one of his very early days lectures, that for 15 years, non-stop, he studied Prabhupada's books and did not step even 1 minute out of that 15 years to reading other Sampradaya commentaries or other Acharyas commentaries or whatever. So unless and until we are having a good hold on Prabhupada's books, which he has given so nicely to us in a way, such a palatable way, we will not be able to understand the other Acharyas' commentaries so much really. But at the same time, Prabhu, you're talking about the controlling propensity part. I will come to that. We can't do anything more than sharing our understanding, realizations, our experience to people when they come to us, isn't it?
Yes.
You may tell some. That's the max you can do. If the moment we start telling, "Hey, you should not read this book," it's like that. Then controlling propensity open up. The moment controlling propensity comes, what happens? It means that I want those people to follow what I am saying, and when they don't follow, I am even more incensed. I am even more disturbed. Why to get into that mode? Bhagavatam, when Prahlad Maharaj goes to the forest, he finds that Avadut Brahmana, right? That Avadut person, and he says something very interesting. That one verse is, if you follow, we can completely get rid of all the problems that we have. Naham ninde nachastomi. I will just get that verse for you. Seven 1342. This shloka. Naham ninde nachastomi swabhava vishamam janam yetesham shreya ashase utaikatmya mahatmani. He says beautifully. Different people, Prahlad Maharaj is asking, how is it that you are so blissful? You don't seem to work. You don't seem to ask anybody for food. You're just lying down. And how is it that you're so blissful? So the Avadhuta says that different people are of different mentalities. Therefore, it is not a business either to praise them or to blaspheme them. I only desire their welfare. Etesham Shreya Ashase. I only want their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. I'm just hoping that they will do it. But I just desire their welfare. So with that attitude, I approach them. If they come to ask me, I give them. If they don't come, I just desire their welfare. So they each one is in their own mood, mentality. It's not my business to glorify them or blaspheme them. Then it becomes we are completely at peace. You see?
Yes.
There is always a motive behind glorification also, Prabhu, isn't it?
Yes.
When
absolutely.
I glorify somebody, I feel that he will do some favor to me.
Correct.
Otherwise, why would I unnecessarily glorify somebody? Right? It's a waste of time for me. I have wasted my energy glorifying. Right?
Absolutely right.
So this is the seminal verse which we can follow to keep this controlling propensity out of controlling propensity at bay. Very deep message, Prabhu. These are things which that is a Bhagavatam has to be learned from Bhagavatam. My spiritual master gave us this sloka. Whenever we try to do, hey, you do this, you do that, then why are you trying to control? So Maharaj, but then things will not go all right. But things will go all right if you are all right. Are you controlling your own mind? Are you controlling your own senses first? So without controlling our own mind and senses, if you are trying to control others, you will be the biggest failure.
Yes, absolutely right, bro.
Right? So that is where the challenge is.
Yes.
So that is where in Hindi it is nicely said, Sahaj mila so doodh mila, maag mila so pani. I hope you understood what I am trying to say, right?
Yes,
On
Prabhu.
phone, they will come and ask you, Prabhu, how do I read it? How do I understand it? Then you tell it will take the it will put the ball in their court.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
In other words, it is their responsibility to accept your authority. Whereas when I ask them, no, you have to do, why don't you come and sit with me? Let's read like that. Then it becomes my responsibility to push my authority upon them.
Yes, Prabhu. That makes a lot of sense.
that creates a lot of mess.
Yes, absolutely clear, Prabhu.
So, thank you, Prabhu. It's such a beautiful, deep question, actually.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice answer you gave. It's very clear now. So unless there is surrender, we do not insist on anything.
Yeah. That's the whole idea.
Absolutely clear, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, anything else? Otherwise, we move to the method side of things now. It's important to go to the method side. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Stand up, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have two questions.
Yes, Mataji.
If I can ask Prabhuji.
Please,
Prabhuji, you said the fourth point, thank you, Ji. The fourth point is study of Bhagavatam should naturally lead to genuine renunciation of name, claim, and glory.
Right.
If I can talk in preaching when we preach, you don't want to take when people started saying, oh, that's really nice, Mataji, or whatever. You obviously wanted to say it's not me, I'm just conveying the message from Prabhupada. How does it apply in your personal life? Like this genuine renunciation from name, flame, and glory. Because Bhagavatam is applying these in our personal life too.
Of course, very true.
So how can we genuinely renunciate from these in our personal life? Like I personally am struggling with, like there are sometimes so many learnings that Bhagavatam gives, but I'm unable to apply them, and that actually leads to frustration. Then I'm more frustrated that I'm unable to apply them.
Yeah.
So how do we control those?
When one thing that really helps us is introspection. When we introspect, like you said, you are seeing that you are not able to practice, right? That itself is a result of our initial introspection. Then if you go a little more deeper, why are we not able to practice also will be revealed to us by Krishna. There is an interesting phrase in Hindi. I hope I can speak this script. Kripa pai tab janiye jab dikhe apna dosh. Right? In other words, we can understand that Krishna's mercy is there upon us only when our own faults are revealed to us, not when others fault us. So when we see that in introspection means I see what is it that is I am lacking, what is it that I should do. Brahma, that's what he did. He introspected when he was all alone. He was introspecting. What am I here for? What I should do? Why I am not able to understand these things? Then Krishna revealed everything. And when we do this Bhagavatam with like the simplicity, gratitude, etc., the 5 qualities that we talked about, then we approach Bhagavatam as how we approach Krishna, and there is no need for us to even ask for name, fame, and glory. If we glorify Bhagavatam, naturally you will be glorified. Like I said, Prabhupada always sang Jai Radha Madhava. He did Jai. Jai is glorification. He did Jai. And what happens now? 24 hours across the globe, all through thing, in every single time zone, we have ISKCON temples. Or even if ISKCON temples are not there, some center or somebody is sitting there and doing some Mangalarti or Guru Puja. Every hour you will see the Prabhupada's glorification is going on. He is the best example to go to for anything. And it should, because he did it only for the glorification of Krishna, he renounced everything. Whatever came to him, are we getting any glorification in any way, even 0.01% equal to he got, maybe especially after he became famous, after he started the movement. Before that, nobody even cared for him. And he did anchor for it also. Right? So the one thing that it will do is that one is if you do it, if you do this only for the satisfaction of our Guru and Krishna, for following the instructions of our spiritual masters, and we introspect and look at our own anarthas, then when we look at our anarthas, naturally we will give up the hankering for name, fame, and glory. Because the moment I see the anarthas, I will, and if I am honest enough, of course, I will think that with all these anarthas, do you really want the name, fame, and glory?
Oh, so true, Prabhuji. Very well said. Yes.
Like if I'm a failure, I mean, if I am a water pace in my exam, I didn't pass, and then if I look at somebody getting the gold medal for topping as a topper, if I look at it and see, I mean, how I wish I would have, how nice it will be if I had also received this gold medal. You would not even have the thought, right?
Yes. Yes. Very well said, Prabhuji. Actually, you answered my next question too, was about pride. But I think this sentence that you mentioned, when you look at your anartha yourself, you'll be like, do I really would be looking for name fame? Like, do I really deserve this? Probably not.
And the other thing, the best way to give up pride, my spiritual master always used to say, is remember the last day. When you remember the last day, when you die, how people are going to treat you, then naturally all your pride and attachment and everything will subside. And Bhagavatam says the best way to give up pride is by serving the spiritual master. The best way, not only pride, envy, lust, anger, greed, everything can be destroyed simply etat prapyam guru bhaktya purusho hi anchasa jayet. It is said in 7th canto, 15th chapter, verses 22 to 25. These 4 verses actually tells 15 different ways in which one can conquer the different things like envy, lust, anger, greed, fear, etc., etc. And finally, after listing all this stuff, Narad says that all these things you don't have to worry about all these different things. Simply serve the spiritual master by serving his instructions. Just everything will automatically follow. All of them.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very well. Thank you so
I
much.
really appreciate the questions here, I mean, really so thought-provoking. And I could see the seriousness of the devotees here by the questions itself. I really appreciate them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna
Anyone?
Prabhuji. Dhanavad Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually, this is like I have been in Bhakti for the last 3 years, and for the past year or so, I've been, seriously trying to study and understand Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. And although there is some sort of, the theoretical understanding, still all the sadhana that I'm doing, or even the reading that I'm doing, it still seems on a very, theoretical level. Like it, on some level, it also seems very mechanical. So, I mean, the question then is, am I really doing, sadhana, or is it just a process that I'm trying to follow?
More ritualistic, you're saying.
Yeah.
So, your question?
So, I mean, that's what the question is then. Like this ritualistic thing does not, I mean, it's not very appealing.
Right.
What is the right way, or like how should we correct this?
Yeah. Prabhu, two things, Prabhu. One is chanting and another is seva. When we chant, it should also lead to genuine taste for service. Right? The study should be in combination with seva. And that seva, if you see, Narad Muni, how did he get the mercy of the Bhaktivedantas? He got it by doing service. Isn't it? So we have many examples where you get the mercy only through seva, but the taste for seva is embellished by your serious study of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the seva, the two types of seva. One is your hearing and shravanam and kirtanam of Bhagavatam. Another is serving the actual Bhagavatas. Or not any for even any jivatmas, anybody, jiver daya namaruchi sarva dharma sar, he said no. So we don't want to be like just philosophers and scholars of Bhagavatam, and that again is a surprise. You see, all our acharyas, they did menial seva. Narottam Das Thakur did menial seva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did menial seva for Ishwarapuri. Ishwarapuri did menial seva for Madhavendrapuri. With all their Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did menial seva for Gaur Kishore Das Prabhuji. Right? So there should be some physical seva that we do to control the mind and the senses. And that's when the Bhagavatam study turn into realization. And when the Bhagavatam knowledge turns into realization, that's when we get the real fruit. Otherwise, it will just be standing there as undigested knowledge. So that is where we need to have association of devotees. On the one side, we do our own serious study in our own time. On the other side, we also associate devotees, try to serve them, try to engage with them, and get the Sangha in the association, try to see Krishna. The real essence of Bhagavatam, Prabhu, if you see in the 11th canto, 12th canto, it is so beautifully revealed, is that when you start seeing Krishna everywhere, that's when the Bhagavatam knowledge is, it blossoms in our heart. Bhagavatam realization blossoms in our heart. So these are all practical outcome of our practicing Bhagavatam. Like I don't see if somebody is behaving rashly, I don't see him as an enemy. Rather, I see him as a helpless, suffering soul. Prabhupada's output of his Bhagavatam was that he saw everybody as suffering soul. That's how he was able to give Bhagavatam to so many all over the world.
True.
At present, we are having our own discriminative mentality across, okay, this person is my friend, that person is my enemy, etc., etc. So with such mood, it is going to be challenging. So we should understand the essence of Bhagavatam message, that how are we going to see Krishna everywhere? Unless and until we see everyone, every jiva, living or non-living being as part and parcel of Krishna, I'm not going to get there. That is the ultimate aim of Bhagavatam. If you see in the 11th canto, Prabhu, especially in the 2nd chapter, you see the descriptions of the Mahabhagavatas. They see Krishna everywhere. They see even in the most unfavorable circumstances Krishna. Parishit Maharaj saw Krishna in the curse of the Brahmana, which is the most unfavorable circumstance for him. That is why he got Bhagavatam in its fullest form. When Duryodhana curse, or he literally shunted through Vidurji away from out of the Hastinapur. Mahatma Vidura did not see Duryodhana as an enemy or some cheat or a traitor or whatever. He saw him as an instrument of Krishna and thanked him from within. But thank you so much, because of your this thing, I am out of the war business. Now I can go for a pilgrimage and do whatever I want. He thanked Duryodhana profusely from his heart. He didn't tell it openly, because the moment he tells openly, then you will catch hold of him and put him back to the thing and say, oh, you wanted to escape with this thing? I will not leave you. Come on, you fight for me. Although it was so painful to hear, Prabhu, he has spent his whole life trying to make his father and him understand. And in the end, this is the name he gets. And every single incident in Bhagavatam is somehow or other, it's a template for our own life. Somewhere or other we would have faced this kind of situation, although in a minuscule way. There it shows with the maximum intensity. Right. So, and other thing, Prabhu, is that when we sit honestly across the table with our very like-minded devotees, and we share our, I see all these questions coming from you all as something which you share from your heart. It's not something you are just asking some philosophical questions or something to do with the Bhagavatam thing, whatever. It's all practical, and it helps me also, because I am also in the same boat. Right? So this is exactly what will help us relish Krishna in the form of the Sabda form, Sabda Rupa. He likes when devotees sit across each other and share their concerns or challenges. Because at least I have some trust, right? It's on someone that, okay, at least I want to reveal this to see if I can get some solution, or something which they would have gone through. That way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. So again, we are kind of I will just quickly go through the rest of the things. I'm sorry about the thing, but really, it's very important. Yes. Yes. Is that Mataji?
Yes, Grace
Yes.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
I don't know, Prabhu. I'm always, I'm not happy because I'm not doing any work properly. Some days I'm reading Bhagavatam, again I'm leaving. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, I'm leaving. I'm doing Aarti, I'm sometimes leaving. And then even the chanting, duty bond, I'm doing the chanting, like that and all. When I compare with the other devotees, my close friends and all, no, I'm not improving only. That makes me so much depressed. I don't know all are good devotees. I have all the Veera Govinda Prabhu, Vajanti Devi, Mataji, your God sister, all are my good friends, good devotees, in good association. Every week I'm with them, but I am not improving.
Are you from Abu Dhabi?
I was in Abu Dhabi, so I'm very close association with all your God sisters.
Okay.
But Still, I'm not
But
happy.
Mother is
I'm not
one thing.
improving.
One thing is that you stop comparing. If the squirrel wanted to compare with Hanumanji, it would not have even done whatever it is Seva it did to Krishna. Not wrong. So you look at others' qualities and start comparing. No, whatever little happiness you get in devotion service, also you lose. Comparison is one thing where it's a subtle way of myself trying to match up to others. That's not Krishna wants. What does Krishna say? You do what your capacity is. You do you exhaust the limit of your capacity. Don't look into the others' thing. Everybody has their own place. We all speak. Sometimes you look at our personal lives, you will see that this person's life is even more miserable or whatever. So it's not something which you have to. Comparison is the greatest pitfall that we have in this modern day. So don't compare, and because of comparing, you're losing your happiness. And then you will start thinking that it would have been much better if I was living. I was just simply in material life. I did not have even come here. Let me tell you honestly, I've never compared myself with anyone. I do my work, whether it is office work or my thing. I just do myself. I'm just happy with whatever study I do. So I'm leaving it alone. The day I compare, I know I will be depressed beyond limits. Nobody compares, no. Even among the devotees, they don't compare unnecessarily. They're positive or negative. So just leave it the way it is. Leave it how Krishna has given us, and just go with the flow. What stops us from going with the flow? The end of the day, the end of the day, spiritual life is actually meant for bringing peace in our lives. If we are stopping that peace, what is that? The beautiful verse. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha ayuktasya bhavana nacha bhavetah shantir ashantasya puta sukham. What is that key word in that verse? Na asti buddhir ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana. Ayukta, being disconnected from Krishna. When we compare, when we see others doing better and I am not doing, all these things are non-Krishna consciousness. We are disconnected from Krishna. So when we disconnect from Krishna, nacha bhaveta shanti. First of all, peace of mind will not come, as you said. Ashantasya puta sukham. Without peace of mind, where will you get happiness? Beautiful question that Krishna asks. So the whole idea is to connect ourselves with Krishna in our own. One thing you should please understand, Mataji, Krishna has every single devotee or an aspiring devotee has a separate direct link with Krishna. You don't have to, yes, you have to go through devotees, but at the end of the day, Krishna has separate things for each one of us. He is not going to compare with, okay, so this Mataji is doing this, that Mataji is doing that, okay, let me give more mercy to him. Not doing our mercy, we can extract the maximum mercy from Krishna by revealing ourselves, like just now one other Mataji is asking about Anu Mataji. I think it was Anu Mataji. So, when we introspect, there's nothing much really. Yes, we have to introspect and look at our own, our own anarthas, but not compare it with others and say, oh, they are all doing better because they don't have. No. You just go with the flow with whatever you have. I hope that helps, Mataji. You can always connect later on more tips. Blessings. So I see someone raised a hand. Sanat Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Prabhu.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, I have small doubt. It is like this way that Prabhuji, when we say something to our friend circle or small preaching group or relatives and all that, even if that is deep, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Chandramrita. So all those, straightforward philosophy, really we didn't, if I consider myself, I don't understand those philosophy, intricacy of philosophy, and the experiencing those devotional elements. What Prabhupada said, and we simply say. So without understanding the all those experiencing all those things and presenting with others, this is that, that is that. Maybe Prabhupada said it and we refer to the Prabhupada. Prabhuji, how do we justify this sense of presentation with others?
Yes, Prabhu. Very, very beautiful point, Prabhu. In fact, without understanding the pains of others, we cannot preach properly. It is not possible. It's not possible at all. So it's always this English. There is a nice saying. It's called "Put your legs in other shoes." Right? When we talk to others without understanding where they are coming from, they are not. It's not possible for us to first of all appreciate their pain, and then there is no question of alleviating their pain or giving them knowledge, right? So it is very important for us to understand that part. There is a beautiful shloka in Bhagavatam also, 6:10:6, 6th canto, 10th chapter, verse number 6. Nunam swartha paro loke na veda parasankata. No, yadi va vedanaya cheta neti naha yadishwaraha. When somebody is asking for something from others, he should understand the pain of the giver. Then you will not ask. And when one who is willing, able to give, if you understand the pain of the beggar, then even before he asks, he will give. Right? So this is a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam that reveals the dynamics of appreciating each other's pain. And only when we understand others' pain, we can actually preach to them according to their situation, and that Prabhu will naturally be bestowed upon us when we sincerely put our heads into the Srimad, our heart into the scriptures, because Prabhupada did it, and we are doing the same thing. If we do with the same mood, it is very important. It is very important for us to do that. I hope that helps. I saw this thing from Rupali Mataji about asking the shloka number. Is it that Nasti Buddhi Rayuktasya shloka, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, that you in which you said that land that each one of us have a separate link with Krishna, and Krishna doesn't compare us with anyone. In that you explain shloka.
I said,
shloka
how do you get happiness without peace? That one. That's the shloka you said.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes. Can you hear me? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, we can hear you.
Mataji, am I audible?
We all are able to hear.
We are able to hear both of you, but I think she is not able to hear us.
Okay. No issues. I think she's asking about Nasti Puti Rayuktasya. That's the shloka. That's in Bhagavad Gita, I think 261 or something. You look into the last 18 shlokas. Nasti Buddhi Ayuktasya. You can search for that. Right? Unfortunately, here. No. So
This is 2.66.
66, correct. Yes. Thank you. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the method part of it yet, I'm not sure if we can do that today. It's already late. And my next few days are really hectic. I'm off to Pune tomorrow. So Krishna willing,
Whenever you are getting time, we will be eager to hear. We will wait in separation. That's not a problem, but definitely would like to hear from you.
I will let you know, Prabhu, because
Yes.
every open slots, the Pune devotees are filling it up. So it will be definitely 9 to 10, right? So Krishna willing, let's do one thing. Sometime either later this week
We can
or
start. We can start even at 8:30 also, so that we can get more time for discussion also.
yeah. I feel that's better actually. 8:30 to 10 is better actually.
Questions we can reach up to a good time of 10.
Sure. Let's look at that way and we will continue from there. I think the method part is only thing that is pending. So we will try to cover a few tips and tricks and know the method to approach study of Bhagavatam from various different ways. So
As and when you complete with Puna's commitments and when you are getting a little bit time, you can let us know even in 1-2 days in advance. Also, you can let us know. We'll be ready.
Yes,
we are ready to hear even on the same day. Also, if you say, "Are you ready?" We'll be ready.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. This is such a wonderful group you have been doing, Prabhu. I'm really glad that I got the association. Thanks to Anandaram Prabhu for connecting to, and of course Sachinandan Prabhu and Santosh Prabhu.
Our Sachinandan Prabhu actually. Sachinandan Prabhu is our key.
Yeah, he is our glue who connects everybody. And thanks, Madhu Sevita Prabhu, for this wonderful group that you are running. I think we need more and more such groups in our movement, Prabhu. Frankly speaking, because this is really needed. This seriousness in our study thing that is really needed. And I think you are right up there.
Actually, Prabhu, we have around 5 groups. So if you can spare time, like.
Oh my God. So this is only one group, is it?
Yes, Prabhu. I mean, most of them are here, but conduct independent. That's why I asked you that question regarding control, because there are 5-6 groups running separately, and these questions keep coming. Someone reads something from outside, hears something on YouTube. So this was one instruction which I had given everyone, that better not listen to YouTube or any other thing. First, read books properly. Get the
this is the big challenge, Prabhu, with all this YouTube, Facebook, etc. We lose the essence of Prabhupada's books, you see, and studying the self-study, Swadhyay, that we have lost. And there is a lot more thing to, especially when you see that YouTube thing, there's like, share, subscribe, these things are there, Facebook and YouTube, and it is so much, it attracts us to the negative side of things that we forget that if Gaurkadash Kishore Das Babaji were here, what he would say, or Jagannath Das Babaji was here, what he would say. You rascals, forget about all these nonsense. Get on with my grand disciple Prabhupada's books. Your grand spiritual master and my grand disciple.
So because like about a couple of years back, we had a lot of challenges about devotees having so many misconceptions.
Yeah.
Like we say one thing from Prabhupada's purport, immediately there's an objection. Yeah. But Prabhu, I have heard like this. So, you hear what Prabhupada has to say first.
No, before reading Prabhupada, they hear about Prabhupada's thing and then they form a conception. Yes. That's why Swadhyaya is very important. Before we hear, our own reading is very important. And then you go and ask. You first of all, the reading quality is really drastically come down. That's the biggest challenge we have. And even Gaurang Prabhu was telling me the same thing when I met him in Vrindavan, that in our society, that's the biggest thing that is bothering us. That lack of study of Prabhupada's books.
Yes, Prabhu. Like without reading, because we are 90s generations, pre-internet generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody is getting into more of kirtans and more of other kind of things that I don't know. Prabhupada's books, who will really take it up? The nectar that is inside. I'm sorry, I can ask Anandaram Prabhu and Santosh Kumar Prabhu and all. We have to helplessly rush through a few verses to get to a logical point of thing in our 5-6 hours of study together. And even now I feel bad that some important verses we have to rush through. So how much Prabhupada, I mean, next time maybe when we meet, I will show you one slide which I prepared specifically on how much Prabhupada sacrificed to get these things in front of us, get these transcendental literatures in front of us. My Guru Maharaj was so particular that he said, Prabhupada has put everything, I mean, hidden everything except physically taking his heart out and putting in his book. That's the only thing he didn't do. If there is a way to do that, he would have done that also.
Yes, Prabhu, because so many devotees in our group actually have no connection with ISKCON. Actually, they have just connected online and started reading Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And directly started chanting, and they were able to preach, and they have been able to make devotees also.
Yeah.
That is how much
possible. Yeah, that's because of the pure devotee. We may have so many other acharyas, all glories to them, but he is our nearest acharya whom we saw in life, and the first time we have a pure devotee in the history of entire Bhakti cult. He is the first acharya whose video, audio, everything is available in front of us in blog.
Yes, true. Actually, like I had met one Gaudiya sannyasi in Mayapur many years ago, and he gave me some commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, everything. And I compared the teachings with what Prabhupada has written in the purports. Prabhupada has given all the matter. There is actually
he consolidated everything and given in a very simple way. And
yes,
honestly, Prabhu, I did speak to Banu Maharaj, and I think a few devotees also interviewed Maharaj, because he is the one who has been writing all the commentaries of all the various acharyas, right? Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jiva Goswami, Baldev Vidyabhushan, etc., right? So he said, see, frankly speaking, these are I am writing for my own thing. There is, without reading Prabhupada's books, if you come here, it's not a good service. It's not the right way. So study Prabhupada's book seriously. Try to absorb and imbibe what he is saying. Because Prabhupada, the two things: one is it's very simple. Second thing is it's very, very focused on practical side of it. He will never keep on hovering in the sky of the Drashta was like this, Vidura was like this, Duryodhana was like this. No, he will never hover on that platform hypothetically. He will be immediately, as soon as after a few lines, you read any purport. I've been trying to read the purports and finding it. After a few lines of the story, you just immediately come to what we should derive from, what we should practice. Nobody gives that kind of crisp conclusion.
And like especially the second canto parts, which are like which apparently are very contradictory and difficult. Prabhupada puts it so simply.
Yeah.
And he also emphasizes that there is no need to speculate on these topics like Virat Purush appearance and other things. Understand what we can understand.
Yeah. We are still not out of the modes. So it's the whole idea is to bring us out of the modes. So come out of the thing as soon as possible and just move on.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So we'll look forward to your association again.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Please message us whenever you have time.
Yes,
and we'll arrange the schedule.
Probably in a week's time or within a few days' time, I will find some time and we can work it out.
Not a problem, Prabhu. You can even message me directly. We can immediately have that.
Sure, Prabhu. Sure, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Panchakalpadarbhasya
Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.